Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we will be talking about Jupiter stationing retrograde here on June 20th. So along with all of the other planets that are retrograde and this eclipse season, we have Jupiter, which is coming into the mix as well, which will also be shortly followed by Neptune retrograde. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a future video as well. So on the screen is the chart for this transit of Jupiter retrograde. Now, Jupiter will actually start off here in the Nakshatra of Shatabishak, and it will shift back into the Dhanishta Nakshatra in the sign of Capricorn. So Jupiter will retrograde out of Aquarius and back into the sign of Capricorn, where it has been since last year. So we will discuss more about what that will look like as now we are shifting out of this Aquarius zone. And Jupiter will come back into the sign of Aquarius later on here in 2021. So with this retrograde, Jupiter is in a review period. Remember that Jupiter is the planet that deals with morals, ethics, principles, religion, higher beliefs, higher education, philosophy, culture, travel. Jupiter is all about our higher learning. It is our expanded consciousness. Jupiter is here to give us lessons, experience, knowledge. This is what Jupiter is all about. And so this planet of Jupiter, as it's coming into this retrograde phase, this is a big time reviewing your belief systems, your principles, your philosophy, going in and looking at the things that serve you, the things that don't serve you. This is also a big time of looking at the path that you are walking. Again, your morals, your ethics, your principles are a big part of the actual journey and path that you are taking in life, right? We always say that that ninth house of the zodiac is the house of travel, of wisdom, of philosophy. That is what we live by, is what is in that ninth house. And so Jupiter is all about the beliefs, the values, the higher knowledge that we are living by, the philosophy that is guiding us through life. So taking a look at your path, your journey, your vision, your dreams, your goals of where you are headed at this time is huge. Jupiter also controls Pisces, which is dealing with our imagination, our vision, our creativity, our ability to see beyond the physical. And so this is a big time of looking at your spiritual path, your spiritual journey in life, and where are you headed? Where are you going? Now, Jupiter is also one of our social planets, similar to Saturn. These are teachers. And so Jupiter and Saturn govern our reality, right? These are the governors of our physical reality that we live in. Saturn is more of the structure. So Saturn is actually implementing that discipline, the morals, the ethics into our physical, tangible reality. Saturn is how can we use these principles, these rules, and make this something that is practical, something that is tangible. Jupiter is the opposite. Jupiter is simply our beliefs, the things that we live by, the things that we value. So Jupiter is not so much practical and down to earth. Jupiter is more philosophical. It is more in that higher realm of thinking. And so Jupiter is a huge part of our morals and our beliefs, but it is not the planet that brings about the justice, the foundation, the structure, the rules of our society. It's simply the beliefs that are behind it, the principles that are behind that structure. And so this is where Jupiter and Saturn actually are working together to make up our reality, our existence as we know it. But Jupiter and Saturn are very different, and they're very different in terms of their style of teaching as well. Saturn wants to teach us through restriction, limitation, maturity. Saturn will take things away from you. It will block you from getting to a destination or a goal that you want to. In order for you to mature, for you to take your time to make the right choices and decisions, Jupiter will just throw you into a situation or circumstance for you to learn and experience further. So Jupiter actually gives us experiences so that we can learn, so that we can develop ourselves. Saturn takes away experiences so that we can mature and do the proper work to get to the result that we need to go to. So very different in terms of their style of teaching. Jupiter is the most beneficial of all the planets. It is all about all of the things that are good, all of the things that are righteous in this world, following the righteous path, doing the noble deeds, doing things that are of goodness, things that are out of your heart, is what Jupiter is all about. This is all about our religion, our faith, our belief, our higher principles. Jupiter is about our optimism, our cheerfulness, our happiness, our joy. So Jupiter is also connected to celebration, to marriage, right? This is a planet of wealth and prosperity. And so this is also a time of looking at the things that you want to celebrate in your life, things that you want to appreciate in your life, as this is coming into a retrograde. A lot of people are confused about retrogrades and see it as something that is negative. A retrograde is not negative. A retrograde is actually allowing us to slow down the energy of that planet so that we can review it, so that we can break it apart and look deeper into that lesson, that experience that that planet has to teach or bring to us. So a retrograde is actually a positive thing. And depending on where the retrograde is in your personal natal chart depends upon if it will affect you in a positive or negative way. It has nothing to do with the planet itself being retrograde. It has to do with how it is affecting you personally. And so some people will have a negative experience, a hard experience, a challenging experience through this Jupiter retrograde, and others will have a very positive and pleasant experience through this retrograde, depending on how this is all lined up in your natal chart and how this is affecting your personal planets. So we'll talk a little bit about that later in terms of how it will affect each of your zodiac signs. But you also want to pay attention to, in your personal natal chart, are there any planets that are being affected by this Jupiter retrograde? So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart here of Jupiter retrograde. So starting off here, Jupiter again is starting in this nakshatra of Shatabishak, and it will retrograde back into Capricorn all the way into Dhanishta. So we'll talk a little bit about that nakshatra here in a little bit. But Jupiter is sitting here in the sign of Aquarius. And once again, this is a very happy transit as Jupiter has been stationed here in the sign of Aquarius, as Jupiter has been in its debilitation back in the sign of Capricorn for some time. So Jupiter coming into Aquarius gives us a sense of freedom, a sense of joy. Jupiter is still not in a zone that it feels completely comfortable in. Again, Aquarius is a Saturn-controlled sign, but Jupiter feels much happier in the sign of Aquarius than it does in Capricorn. And of course, we will see Jupiter move back into Capricorn, so that can bring up some challenges, some difficulties that need to be addressed and faced. Once again, a retrograde is a review period, allows us to go over the things that need to be worked through and addressed. So a retrograde is helping us to reflect and to resolve and to review the things in our life. Jupiter is going to make its fifth aspect. So Jupiter will make an aspect over to the sixth house, and this is where we see the Sun and Venus at this time, which will be in the sign of Gemini. And so, as Jupiter is casting its aspect over to the Sun in Gemini, this is a huge time of using your knowledge, using your intellect to understand and to reflect upon these areas that need to be reviewed in your life. Both of these are very intellectual, Aquarius and Gemini, very scientific, very intellectual, very idealistic types of signs here, which give us this ability to look deeper, to reflect, to look at the information closely, at the details, and especially with Venus in there, really getting a good visual, looking at all of the details, all of the things that need to be addressed and worked through. So, this will be a huge time of really paying close attention to the details, to the information, to the knowledge, and seeing how you can apply this to your life to better yourself. Remember that Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion. It is here in this retrograde to help you to improve upon yourself, in your beliefs, in your knowledge, in your experience of life. Jupiter will also cast its seventh aspect over to this eighth house zone. Nothing is here. Once again, we typically don't talk about this in a transit, but remember that the eighth house zone is all about transformation. And so this is a huge part of this transit here. And we're caught in this moment of K2 in Scorpio, where there's a lot to be transformed, a lot to be worked through. And Jupiter is actually casting its ninth aspect over to the moon, which will be in the sign of Libra. So this is going to be a big trinal axis right here during this time, where this is a big time of looking at the details, looking at the information. Remember that the moon is our mind, and it is here in Libra where we're trying to find some balance in our lives. And this is a very materialistic, very hardworking nakshatra that the moon is in here in the sign of Libra, where we have a lot to do in terms of our work, our responsibilities in our lives at this time, where there's a lot here in terms of what are we doing? What are we working on in our lives? Now, once again, with K2 in Scorpio, which is a big part of this transit that we will be going through as well, with this new moon and with everything that is happening here with this eclipse season that we are caught in. Once again, the eclipse season will extend into November when we get to our eclipse in November, which will clear out this entire eclipse zone. So, this is a huge time after this solar eclipse that we just had here in the sign of Taurus, and the sun has shifted forward into Gemini, that we're getting this clarity, this insight, this focus that is allowing us to see the areas that we need to grow and improve upon. Remember that when we talked about in that video for the solar eclipse in Taurus, that this is all about moving towards what brings the most happiness, the most peace, the most practical values, the things that really serve you at the deepest level. So, on the negative in that Taurus is all about the materialistic side of life, indulging too much in the material pleasures of life. But on the positive side, it is all about our values, our security, our foundation. And so, this whole transit here of this Jupiter in Aquarius is understanding how we can better ourselves, how we can really move into what is of true worth and value to us in our lives. And as Jupiter moves back into Capricorn, it especially becomes about building that solid foundation, that stable foundation to support our dreams, our visions of where we are going. Remember that Capricorn is all about discipline, hard work, structure. It is all about doing the work that gets you towards your goal, your success, using your resources, the things that you have to make it to the top. and Aquarius there representing our dreams, our wishes, our hopes of the future. And so this Jupiter retrograde here really trying to get us to implement the correct structure, the correct platform to move us towards our goals in life, our dreams in life. Very happy transit again with Jupiter in Aquarius, where we're all trying to get towards our dreams. Our path in life is now focused on what is the next destination? Where are we going? But if you recall, when we were back with Mars in Gemini and with Mercury in the sign of Aries, that was a time where there was a lot of impulsive energy that was focused on our dreams, focused on where we're going. And so, again, there's a lot coming up from the past here as we're in this retrograde that is centered and focused around how do we build the correct structure, the correct platform? How do we stay present? Taurus being about staying in what is stable, what is comfortable, what is in this moment, what is grounded. So, how do we stay in the present and still work towards our goals, our dreams, instead of trying to put ourselves far out into the future, which is putting us in two different timelines, two different realms where we are here in a place where we have not accomplished something, and then we're looking into this other realm, this other future destination where we have. So now we're splitting ourselves from our goals, our dreams. So there's a lot here to implement as Jupiter will come back into this zone of Capricorn. So let's go ahead and move forward here. And once again, the first nakshatra that this Jupiter retrograde will fall into will be in the sign of Aquarius in Shatabishak. Shatabishak is the nakshatra representing 100 stars, right? And the symbol is a circle, or it is the 1,000 armies of demons and angels. So this is all about going beyond, and this is a K2 ruled nakshatra. Once again, K2 is all about what is beyond this material physical world. It is getting to the truth, it is going deeper to the roots, it is understanding the things that go beyond this physical reality, the mystical, the spiritual, the metaphysical, our past lives, our experience that is beyond this tangible physical world. So K2 brings us the truth. It unveils the illusion of this material world. Here in this Shatabishak Nakshatra, this is all about digging deeper for information. And this is a very secretive nakshatra where there's a lot of hidden information to dig up, to research. Remember that K2 is the original ruler of Scorpio, which is all about mystery, exploration, right? Uncovering the hidden truth, uncovering the mysteries and the greater possibilities behind life, the inner wisdom, the deeper truth. So this is a nakshatra that is all about uncovering what lies beyond this world, right? And especially in the sign of Aquarius, where this is starting to get into the realm of leaving the physical plane, right? When we start to get towards the sign of Pisces, we are now leaving this physical world and going to the spiritual, the dream world, the astral plane. So now we're getting to a place where this is about exploring what lies beyond here in this Shatabishak Nakshatra, and especially here in this first para, which is a Sagittarius ruled Navamsa. This is all about the journey, the quest of exploring the unknown, going beyond. And here it is also about our belief systems. In this first para of Shatabishak, we can see social activists, we can see those who stand up against the unjustful acts in our society. So, someone who is going to stand up and advocate for peace and justice within this first para. And once again, Shatabishak is in Aquarius, which is a very different and unusual sign. And especially here in this nakshatra of Shatabishak, which is controlled by K2, ruling over the things that go beyond the physical. So Shatabishak is a very unusual, very different, very unique nakshatra. So here you see those who stand up, who rebel, who are activists against the unlawful acts of the world. This is getting to the truth behind what is going on in our society, what is going on in our world, and our existence here in this Shatabishak Nakshatra. And so there's a lot collectively going on in terms of getting to the truth, understanding how we can resolve issues and conflicts in our society and move towards a different place, a different belief, a different way of life, with Sagittarius being controlled by Jupiter, dealing with our morals, our ethics, our beliefs, our principles. There is a lot here that is focused and centered around how do we create change in our reality. Following this, Jupiter will retrograde once again back into the sign of Aquarius, where it will move into the fourth pada of Dhanishta. Dhanishta being symbolized by the drums, and this is a Mars controlled nakshatra. Remember that this is all about marching to the beat of your own drum, following your karmic path and duty in society. So, here in this Dhanishta nakshatra, this is all about what is our path, what is our journey in life, how do we get towards our destination? And we have the energy of Mars behind this, which gives tremendous amount of drive and determination towards your purpose in life. Mars also is a warrior, giving that rebellious nature. This is a nakshatra that does not follow societal trends. This is one that goes outside and does as it feels called to do along its journey and destiny. And especially here in this fourth pada, which is a Scorpio ruled Navamsa. Scorpio giving that energy of mystery, of the unknown, of exploration. Once again, this gives someone who is very passionate towards their goals, someone who is doing things in a different way, in their own way, towards their own goals. Scorpio is a sign that is very difficult to influence. It is going to follow what it feels in its heart, as it is a fixed water sign. So, this gives a strong determination towards our goals, our duties, our purpose in life here in this fourth para. And moving into the third pada, we are moving into a Libra Navamsa, Venus ruled pada, which is all about the beauty, the tangible, the materialistic desires and goals that we have for ourselves in this life. And as we move back into that second pada of Virgo, the Virgo Navamsa becomes all about healing professions. This becomes all about our duty, our responsibility, our mission, being responsible and mature and focusing on the tasks that need to be done. And so there's a huge focus once again throughout this Jupiter retrograde that is all about how can we make improvements, adjustments in our society, in the world at large, of bringing things back into a place of order, of making necessary changes to remove some of the injustices and difficulties within our society that are moving us back. And again, we're coming back into this retrograde where we're back into this zone of facing the duties and responsibilities and the things that need to be faced and addressed here in this Dhanishta Nakshatra. There is a warrior spirit to this Dhanishta Nakshatra that is all about cutting through the distractions, cutting through the negatives of the world and focusing on our purpose, our mission, our destination. Remember that this is in the sign of Capricorn, which rules over our success, our achievements, our career, our destination of getting to where we need to go as far as our purpose. Capricorn has extreme discipline and focus, and especially here, as this is a Mars ruled nakshatra, which is all about our passion, our discipline, right? Mars is a soldier. So this gives us this strong focus in terms of our path, our calling of moving forward. And so this is the huge focus that is centered around this Jupiter retrograde. Collective wise, we are looking at what needs to be addressed, what needs to be resolved in order to move towards our path ahead. On a personal level, this especially becomes about looking at your own values, looking at your own path, your own calling, your own beliefs, and making sure that everything is in alignment with you, right? This Dhanishta Nakshatra is the star of symphony. Are you in harmony with your life's purpose, with your destiny, with your true calling? This is a huge focus during this Jupiter retrograde. So let's talk about the horoscopes for each of your zodiac signs. Starting off here for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant. This will be Jupiter stationing retrograde in your 11th house. Looking at your hopes, your dreams, your wishes of what you want to accomplish at this time, those long term goals for yourself, and making sure that everything is in alignment with your purpose, with what you want to accomplish, where you are going. And especially with the moon that will be transiting through your seventh house. Are you in alignment with what you want to do in this world, what you want to accomplish, what you want to leave a mark as far as how you are making a difference in the lives of others, how you are showing your gifts to others, expressing yourself to others? Is everything in true alignment with your beliefs, with your truth? This is huge to look at during this Jupiter retrograde. For those of you with the Taurus moon, Taurus ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde in your 10th house. Big focus on career, on your responsibilities, your achievements in life with this Jupiter retrograde. Is everything in alignment? This can be a big time of questioning your goals, your achievements, your focus in terms of where you are headed, where you are going at this time, especially as we have Pisces, which is controlling that 11th house, your dreams, your goals. Huge emphasis on this, as this is a big part of your journey right now, is making sure that everything is in true alignment. And you may see some big changes with Sagittarius back in your 8th house, where this is trying to get you to transform, to evolve internally, to move towards your correct purpose and destination, especially as we have talked a lot about this Rahu that will be positioned there in your first house, which will be in a conjunction with a Mercury retrograde and K2 and Scorpio on the other end in your seventh house. There's a lot that's changing in terms of the way that you are approaching others, the way that you're approaching your destiny, the way that you are presenting yourself at this time. Those of you with a Gemini moon, Gemini ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde back in your ninth house. At this time, you can receive a lot of wisdom, a lot of advice through mentors, through teachers, through guides, through father figures, even at this time, with this Jupiter retrograde that is sitting there in your ninth house. And of course, this will move back into your eighth house, where you can experience some major changes, some major growth in your life, some spiritual progress. That eighth house being the house of spiritual progress, and the ninth house being the house of religion, puts a huge focus on your spiritual life, your spiritual purpose in your mission in life. Huge focus that's centered around this. And of course, we will see that moon in Libra also, that's sitting there in your fifth house, where your creativity is being emphasized, your skills, your knowledge, using all of these talents and skills to move towards your goal and purpose. There's something big here where you may be changing your actual job or the way that you are approaching society at large, with this being centered around your creativity, your purpose, your skills, and how you can present this to the world. For those of you with a Cancer moon, Cancer ascendant, this will be a Jupiter retrograde back in your eighth house, very intense, as this is coming into the eighth house zone. And of course, this will also move back into your seventh house, which puts a huge focus on relationships. And so this is a big time of reviewing your connections, your relationships, especially anything related to business, any sort of romantic partnerships, looking at everything, making sure that everything is here in true alignment with your purpose and calling at this time. And we will also see the moon in Libra there in your fourth house. We're really looking at your peace, your state of mind, making sure that everyone that you are with is nourishing you in your life. If there is something that is disrupting your life, there can be some major changes that need to be made in this area. Jupiter aspecting all of those watery houses are fourth, eighth, and 12th, where there's a lot of focus on your inner peace and happiness that you must look at. We will also see Jupiter, of course, aspecting over those Artha houses, where we have a huge focus on your desires, your hopes, your dreams, making sure that everything is in true alignment with your purpose. For those of you with a Leo moon, Leo ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde in your seventh house. Big focus on relationships, and Jupiter will shift back into the sixth house. Possible arguments, conflicts, competition, divorce that can come up here through this transit. You want to pay close attention to everything that is going on in your life, making sure that you are focused in on resolving any sort of conflicts or issues that arise at this time. There will be a moon in Libra there in your third house of communication. Huge focus on speaking from a place of kindness and compassion, and not coming into a place of emotional reaction with that moon, which is trying to bring you some balance, some stability there in the sign of Libra. So there's a lot here that needs to be worked on and looked at in terms of your relationships and connections. For those of you with a Virgo moon, Virgo ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde back in your sixth house. Big focus on helping others and your focus in career, with the sign of the humanitarian, of course, controlling your sixth house of daily work and responsibility. Many of you are focused on helping others, but there's a big question here with this Jupiter retrograde of if you helping others in their lives is a part of your purpose, your mission. Are you sacrificing too much of yourself and not focusing on your own needs? So there's a lot that's being reviewed here in terms of making sure that you are in true alignment in your life, that all of your needs and responsibilities are taken care of. If there is anything that is out of alignment, this is time for some self care, some self love, making sure that everything is taken care of in your own life before extending your hand out to others. Jupiter will also shift back into your fifth house of creativity, of knowledge, of skills. And so this is a huge time of focusing on your dreams, your purpose, your calling. Are you in alignment with that again, or are you sacrificing too much of yourself into trying to help others but not helping yourself? We will also have this moon that will shift into the sign of Libra in that second house. Once again, your security is being highlighted. Are you taking care of everything in your life, or are you putting too much energy out into others and not focusing on your own needs and security? That needs to be a emphasis and focus at this time. For those of you with a Libra moon, Libra ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde back in your fifth house of creativity, of knowledge, of skills. This is a huge time of taking a look at any sort of projects, any sort of things that you want to accomplish and focus on within your life, and making sure that all of those things are in order for you. This is a big time where you can use your skills, your knowledge to make an impact in your career, in your dreams, your goals. Jupiter will retrograde back into your fourth house, where there is a lot of focus here on your state of mind, making sure that you are in the right place in terms of your peace and your mindset. Being positive at this time is highly important. But with this Jupiter here moving back into this zone of the fourth house, the fourth and fifth being about your intelligence, this is a huge focus there that is centered around using your skills, using your knowledge to move towards your dreams, your goals at this time. And the moon being right in your first house, you can see some fluctuations, some changes some sensitivity at this time. Your intuition may be increased, where this is time to listen inward with yourself to make sure that everything is fully at balance, that everything is grounded in your life, and those things that are out of balance, putting it back into a state of balance. For those of you with a Scorpio moon or Scorpio ascendant, this will be Jupiter transiting through your fourth house in retrograde and moving back into your third house. Big focus is being centered around your intelligence, your communication, and how your beliefs are affecting all of this. This is a time where those of you who have not been in a place of positivity, Jupiter coming back into this third house, a lot of questions are coming up about your beliefs, about what you believe in, what you feel guided towards, and being more trusting in your intuition and in what your heart is telling you. Remember that that ninth house, which is Jupiter's original house, is a very lucky house where you will see this energy of Mars and Cancer. And so there is a lot here in terms of focusing on your beliefs, on your knowledge, on your wisdom. Using your heart to guide you towards your dreams is huge, and we will see this moon that will be sitting back in the 12th house. Huge intuition coming in with this moon energy back in the 12th, in transit with this Jupiter, following your heart, following your beliefs, following what you know internally. And so, for those of you who are still trying to seek out wisdom externally, it is time to meditate, it's time to reflect, it's time to go in and listen to your inner voice. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius ascendant, this will be Jupiter in retrograde, stationed back here in your third house. And this will retrograde back into your second house as well. So there's a huge focus on your connections, your connection with family, your communication skills, putting yourself out into the forefront. And at this time, making sure that you are putting your talents, your skills, your gifts out into the world. We will see this moon in Libra that is sitting back there in your 11th house. Where what is your dreams? What are your goals? What are you trying to go after at this time? Jupiter is trying to make you see and understand what it is that you need to move into this direction. Jupiter, again, is the planet of wisdom and experience. This is wanting you to go into this direction, to have this experience of going after these goals, these dreams that you have for yourself at this time. And this can bless you with some fortune, some gain through this, as that moon will be there in your 11th house of gains and Jupiter shifting back into your second house of your fixed assets. This can be a big time of taking on opportunities and goals for yourself in your career. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, this will be a Jupiter retrograde in your second house and shifting back into your first house. Your values are huge to look at this time. This is a big time of looking at what do you believe in, what do you value, is everything in true alignment for you? And Jupiter controlling your third house of communication and back in your 12th house as well. This is a time to reflect and look within in terms of your ideas, your beliefs, and making sure that everything is in proper alignment. Are you being swayed by others at this time? Really looking at your beliefs, your purpose, your destiny, and not paying too much attention to the outside noise that is coming in at this time is huge. This moon in Libra that is sitting all the way back there in your 10th house of career, huge focus on your destiny, listening to your intuition, listening to your inner voice to find your way into what is your purpose, what is your mission, what are you aiming for in life. For those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde in your first house and shifting back into your 12th house. There's a huge focus on yourself at this time. That first house being you, and the 12th house being your subconscious. There's a lot to look at internally with yourself to make sure that your beliefs, your values, your principles, your philosophy is all in check with who you are at a soul level and what is your purpose in life. Is everything all in alignment? And the moon that is sitting back there in Libra is huge, where this is trying to bring you some balance, right? A lot of mentors and teachers that can bring you some good advice through that ninth house of Libra to really enlighten you and move you into the direction of changing and growing internally within yourself, which has been the theme already with this Saturn retrograde that's sitting back there in the 12th house of your chart. For those of you with a Pisces moon, Pisces ascendant, this will be Jupiter stationing retrograde in your 12th house and shifting back into your 11th house. Again, be careful with technology, with anything related to your goals, your research, your skills. There can be some things going haywire here. Again, we have this Mercury retrograde that's happening there in your third house and in conjunction now with Rahu as well, where there can be some very chaotic and unexpected things happening here. There's a lot that's trying to get you to shift internally instead of going externally, which is why there can be some external things that aren't functioning properly. The moon sitting back in that eighth house, also trying to pull you internally to look at anything as far as emotions internally. This is a big time of transformation, of change, of reflection, of dealing with any sort of fears, insecurities, doubts, worries, looking internally and facing all unresolved issues. This is trying to better you and move you into your best direction, especially with Jupiter being your chart ruler. So this has been your horoscope for Jupiter stationing retrograde here on June 20th to October 18th of 2021. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new content. We have a lot going on as we are caught up in a retrograde season along with an eclipse season, a lot of internal growth, a lot of internal lessons to work through at this time. If you have any additional questions, anything you'd like me to add, anything that you'd like me to talk about as far as Vedic astrology goes, leave it all down below in the comments and I will get back to you. I hope you all have a great day. I want to thank you all once again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.